Starlight Express is like no other show. It has a story. It's about the little engine that could, someone that has no faith in themselves, in love with the girl next door. But as with all true love, what often happens is it breaks. And how do you repair that so it resolves at the end? Starlight has all of that, and that wonderful moment when Rusty and Pearl come back together again, and there is not a dry eye in the house when they sing I Do. But it's an adventure, it's a race, and it is a sporting element where they really do race, and the heart is palpitating, the race music is going. It's an adventure all the way. There's every kind of music, from good old rock and roll to hip hop to strange mix of trance music. There are so many things, and Andrew Lloyd Webber demands that they are singing notes that most people can't sing in a lifetime while they're spinning on skates.
I think one of the reasons Starlight has worked is because it is just about the simplest story that you can imagine. I mean, at its essence, it's Cinderella. It is one young, put-upon, small person with two fearsome, not ugly sisters in this case, but two fearsome trains who are bullying them. And they win through, and they win. And during the course of that, because one of the trains is a diesel train, he has kind of old rock and roll to sing. Because one of the trains is an electric train, he has real modern electro-pop to sing. And Rusty is kind of a down-home, genuine little guy, so he has the blues to sing. So you have all those three sorts of music in the show together, and some country music added. All the songs of all the music of the American Railroad is in there. But basically that very simple story of a little guy being bullied and winning through is why the show works.
Andrew had this idea of a musical that involved railway trains. I was given the problem, really, of solving how do you create something visually that one makes people, believe that they're watching trains. And again, it was a bit like Cats, because you've got to metamorphosize human beings into characters that represent, a particular railway carriage, a particular steam train, or a diesel train, or electric train. The decision to put them on roller skates came about when Trevor Nunn and I were walking through Central Park, having been asked by Andrew, how would you stage a musical about railway trains? And we saw all these phenomenal skaters in Central Park going around with sort of boom boxes on their shoulders and weaving and ducking. And we both looked at each other and went, that's the solution.
Every character in Starlight Express is extraordinary, not just because of their costumes and not just because of their makeup. The costumes are huge, so that everybody coming into the show has to know that they will not just be skating as themselves, but they will be skating like somebody in the army with a huge pack on their back. There's weight to them. But the characters are really developed by probably John Napier and myself. They were given names by Richard Stilgoe, designs by John Napier, but what happens inside and the way they skate and the way they present themselves, all created by me, all created within a style. And every group of characters has a different skating style. But certainly the makeup is fantasy and extraordinary. And I think that people see them as trains, but with a human beating heart.
So, to choreograph things on roller skates gives you another dynamic, but it also gives you a huge number of problems. And it also, it gave me singular problems like, how do you make the costumes movable enough, but still representative of railway trains? Quite a considerable amount of bulk involved in the costumes, but they still had to move. So as it was a marginally kind of American story, because Greaseball, Electra, and Rusty and Popper are quite clearly American characters, then I chose the kind of NFL football kind of feeling of, shoulder pads and armbands and, just getting that kind of really masculine look for the guys. And then for the girls, I just went for sexy. Just nice legs, nice boobs, nice waists, swinging around. The set was much more complex in London than it will be in Hong Kong, but I think that the 3D, just enhances that particular experience.
When you're writing anything, the best way to do it is to talk about it, think about it, until you're ready to write it, and then write it as quickly as possible. And in a perfect world, it would take you 2 hours to write a 2-hour musical, because then the thread would go through it absolutely without stopping. That, of course, never happens. I mean, the great Sammy Cahn, wonderful songwriter, said musicals are not written, they are rewritten. And one of the things I learned from Andrew was, you do not let a song get onto a stage until it is right. You can't just write a great verse 1 and then some other stuff. Verses 2 and 3 have to be there as well. And since working with him, everything I've done has been better because I learnt that, because he put that into me, that discipline. So yeah, it took a long time to write and to get right. And actually, unlike a lot of shows, it gets rewritten. In 1994, after being running 10 years, we rewrote quite a lot of it. Every now and then, at the moment, it's got a terrific song by Andrew's son in it. And there are a few other bits by another guy, and all of which have brought it up to date, made it younger, because it's a young show, and I get older, and we don't want the show to get older with me. We want the show to stay young.